Look at a map of modern Rajasthan, and you see a massive, unified block of territory. It's the largest state in India by area, bounded by stark geometric lines drawn by modern politicians. But zoom in past the political borders, and that unified block shatters into distinct, highly localized cultures. While Rajasthani is often treated as a single language, the term actually functions as a convenient umbrella for a varied taxonomy of Meoral dialects. Linguists rely on Dr. George Abraham Grierson's classification. As outlined here, Grierson organized the state's dialects into 5 categories, establishing a geographic split between Western and Eastern Rajasthani, a division reflecting the physical separation between desert and plains. Mapping these divisions onto the physical geography, we start with a standard political map. Strip away the modern districts, and the true historical zones emerge, regions shaped by terrain and ancient administrative centers, Marwar, Mewar, and Duntar. Our objective is to locate the 8 primary Rajasthani dialects on this map. We will anchor their distinct phonetic rules and classical literature directly to the geographical coordinates where they developed. Regional linguistics follow the logic of the land. Geographic proximity and physical barriers shape the development of regional syntax. We start in the sprawling, arid plains of the west. This is Marwar. Anchored by historical cities like Jodhpur, Bikaner, and Nagaur, this region sits heavily insulated by the Thar Desert. The dialect here is Marwar. By pure surface area, it holds the largest geographic footprint of any dialect in the state. Looking at the primary sources, Marwar functions primarily through a highly structured elite literary form known as Dingle. Because Marwar was geographically protected by harsh terrain, this classical literature thrived. Moving directly south from those arid plains, the terrain shifts into the Aravalli Hills, bringing us to Mewar, the region historically controlled by Udaipur and Bhilwara. This distinct southern central topography gives rise to the Mewari dialect. The linguistic record shows Mewari carries specific phonetic markers, most notably the distinct use of the sounds E and O. This structure was recorded centuries ago in the regional plays and texts written by Maharana Kumbha. Together, Marwari and Mewari formed the western core. Shielded by the desert to the west and hills to the south, these dialects represent the most internally consistent forms of Rajasthani linguistics, largely separated from outside state influences. But as we travel further away from that heavily protected core, the geographical isolation begins to break down. In the districts of Dungarpur and Banswara, at the absolute southern tip of the state, we find the domain of the Bogdi dialect. The critical variable here is space. This region shares a direct, porous border with the state of Gujarat. The textbook provides direct phonetic evidence of this border bleed. Due to Gujarati influence, Bogdi speakers substitute the ch and ch sounds with an s sound. At these geographic extremities, a dialect acts as a permeable membrane, absorbing the phonetics of its neighbors. Shifting back up and east from the desert, we hit the commercial and political centers of Dundar, cities like Jaipur and Tank. This zone belongs to Dundari. Due to the high population density of these eastern cities, Dundari operates as the demographic heavyweight of the eastern branch, and it carries a singular phonetic signature. To distinguish Dundari from the western core, listen for the pervasive use of the word che. Moving southeast from Jaipur, the landscape compresses into the rugged ravines of Kota and Bundi, known historically as the Hadoti region. Here we map the Hadoti dialect. Structurally, Hadoti operates as a direct sub-branch derived from Dundari, yet it maintains a massive literary identity of its own. The records show the famous poet Suryamala Mishrana composed his works within the parameters of Hadoti. The eastern central block is defined by these deep structural relationships. The dialects share foundational phonetic DNA while cultivating highly specific literary traditions. As we approach the far northeastern edge of the state, we again see the impact of physical borders on internal language structures. In the districts of Alwar and Bharatpur, we locate Mewati. Because this region sits flush against Uttar Pradesh, Mewati operates under immense external pressure from Braj Bhasha, which pushes in from across the state line. Just west of Mewati, wedged tightly into the borderlands between Alwar and Jaipur, sits a localized linguistic pocket called Ahirwati or Rathi. This dialect relies on a sociological anchor. As noted in the text, it's tied to the historical Ahir caste of the area and serves as the vehicle for localized epics like the Hamir Raso. We see the same pattern at the southeastern tip in Jalawar, where the Malvi dialect is influenced by daily exposure to Madhya Pradesh. Without the desert to insulate them, these peripheral dialects are defined by their exposure. They constantly exchange phonetic traits with neighboring states. Pulling back from these individual borders, the actual physical and cultural landscape of the entire state comes into full focus. These 8 primary dialects represent a diverse linguistic landscape, each occupying its own geographic coordinate on the state map. What this map illustrates is a gradient of external pressure. In the protected Western core, Marwari and Mewari supported the preservation of classical Dingle literature, maintaining its distinct structural characteristics over centuries. On the periphery, Bagdi, Mewati, and Ahirwati operate as dynamic evolutionary zones, absorbing syntax from Gujarat, Uttar Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh. Regional linguistics follow the logic of the land, the rugged mountains, the vast deserts, and the physical pathways between them, often ignoring the political lines drawn across them. To read a Rajasthani text is to read the exact topography of the ground where it was written.